Anke Ma'at, Hotel, peace. What's happening, world? I am Ahasa. This is Afrosynthesis, and welcome back to another one on the channel. For our first-time listeners, I am Ahasa Jadu. I am the warrior son of Mantu. I bring light and peace and new technologies to the world, and I'm here to speak to you today about what we need to do in order to evolve into this next level of ourselves this spring. And for my community, right, who've been tapped in, shout out to you. I appreciate you for coming to get a good lively word in your spirit for the day. We got this next iteration is tapping into our creative capacity. Right? That's my reflection of how we evolve. We said last week we're consciously activating. If we're going to be consciously activating, that means we are going to take ourselves into the next state of our evolution, which means we are pulling that evolution from within. And that's what being creative is all about, right? If I was to define what a creator is, I would define a creator as that which takes and makes something out of nothing. One that makes something out of nothing is a creator by the means of, right, bringing into being something which did not previously exist before the bringer brought it to be so. Malana Karenga, he created a work called the Hosea, and this is, right, selections from different sacred wisdom texts in Kemet or ancient Egypt. And so one of the titles of a very famous book would be like the Book of Knowing the Creations. And so in the Book of Knowing the Creations, it's translated thus: I am the one who came into being as Keper. This is Ra's description of his own creation. He says, I am the one who came into being as Keper. He who comes into being and brings into being. When I came into being itself came into being. All beings came into being after I came into being. Many were the beings that came forth from the commands of my mouth. Right? We've heard, in the beginning there was the Word. We've heard in the beginning, God made the heaven and earth, and that earth was formless and there was a void, right? And so if we think of earth being formless and being in a void, we think of earth not existing. And out of that, earth and heaven came, right? We gotta realize, we talked last week, hey, one needs one in order to make two. All we need is more of ourselves and what we're doing to bring out the next state of evolution. Like that, when we know ourselves, we can transpose ourselves onto anything. Like there's a book called The Star of Deep Beginnings by Dr. Charles Finch, one of our great intellectual African warrior scholars and minds. And in the work, he talks about the mathematical reality and relationship between pi and phi, 3.14, and that Fibonacci 6.18. And that the connection between the two is what allows for us to take spherical understandings and dimensions and transpose them onto squares, rectangles, and triangles, or flat surfaces, right? So it's the interconnection of 314 and 618 that allows for the transposition of knowledge from one area onto all other surfaces or effects, right? They say, like, if you really know one thing, then you know everything in relation to that one thing, or you know everything because everything's related to that one thing and you understand that well enough to see those relations, right? That's what we need to do in this next state of evolution. We need to tap into our own creations. They exist within us already. We just have to bring them out. You know what I mean? We have to command them into being. Rick Rubin has a book, and I was happy when I saw Nasut of the Temple mention this before, that if you really look at the cover of Rick Rubin's book, The Creative Act, it's a solar disc. That's a Kemetic symbol. That's Ra's symbol, right? So whether he consciously or unconsciously knows, right, that the knowing is there. And the knowing that is being communicated, right, to those who are listening is that it is time for us to be creators again, right? Like, we've talked about pulling ourselves together. We've talked about ancestral work. And what I'd like to put back on the table for you as we talk about tapping into our creative capacity is remembering the fact that our eldest ancestor is God, is Neter, right? Is the ultimate, is the divine, is the one, the unseen and seen creator. Y'all understand that, right? Like, our eldest ancestor would be the creator. And that imbues in us the reality that the creator's creation is continuing or is still creating. And we as humans, as divine beings, have an earthly experience, have a spiritual reality of continuing the creation, to continue creating. And we haven't been creating. Us as African Black people, all we do, yes, is create, but to the same collective consciousness and intention and capacity as we've been known to do in our historical past, no. And not that we need to get back to that in the same meaning that we need to just relive our past, no, but we need to get back to that in the sense of we need to begin creating again, because creating is our present and it is our state of being. And it is from within us that the things that we desire or need, that we are wanting to exist or come from outside of us, externally and from others, that's not the reality. We have to reflect it from within and then bring it out, right? That's what the creator does. The creator doesn't say, let me get that from you. The creator doesn't say, yo, can you do this for me? The creator brings it out from within them. You know what I mean? It's really important that we decide that we are going to be the arbiter of the things that we do in our life, right? If we are the creator, that also means that we already have enough. And that's very, very important to realize. And for those who feel like what they have isn't enough, I humbly say, take the advice. So I was driving down the highway the other day, and I thought about Friday. I love the movie Friday. It's not infrequent for me to think about it because it's pretty funny. It's a hood classic. It's a Black classic. It's just a classic. And right in it, you know, we can all recall Smokey's mama giving him a couple dollars to get her some cigarettes. And he was looked at it, of course, it was like, hey, like, this not enough. And she responded famously, make it enough. That's what I mean. When I say we need to tap back into our creative capacity, I'm saying that we need to tap back into the spirit of making it enough. If we need more of it, pull it out of it. You know what I mean? Bring it out of that. Just the same way you can bring more out of you, take what you have and make more with it. Don't complain or confess lack. That's not powerful at all. Create more from that which you have. Recognize and visualize and perceive that which you have as enough, and you'll be able to tap into the creative capacity and make it more than enough. And at more than enough, we've reached abundance. And that means that we have an overflow that we can then spill onto other people, right? This is how we raise our energy. This is how tapping into our creative capacity allows us to get back into that endless, infinite flow of just being a channel and a steward of a, you know what I mean, of a righteous, of a divine offering, which is this life in general and the resources that we have to be and become, you know. So I appreciate you for spending some time with me today, for resonating and letting this message resonate with you, for raising your frequencies and tapping in and getting a breath of fresh air on the internet. As you know, I am Ahasa. This is Afrosynthesis, and I'll see you guys next week. But I want you to take this week to sit and reflect on what you know you need to bring out of yourself, and ask yourself, what does that challenge you to do first, right? Because now that is opening your inside so that the outside, this external illusion, can make way for that to come into being, y'all. So yeah, that is the message. I'm gonna see y'all next week. So it is, and so shall it be. Peace, y'all. No. I'm playing. I do have a thought though. If we and when we tap back into our creative capacity, we, at that point, I'm gonna say this, as we're tapping back into our creative capacity, we have to stop blaming the supply for our inabilities. You know what I mean? We can't give power to that. Hey, this isn't enough. No, we're in the spirit of making it enough now. And since we're making it enough, we don't blame the supply. We ask ourselves, what do we need to do to make this more than enough, right? We put the challenge on ourselves to be greater, not the supply, not complaining that the supply lacks. And yeah, with that, peace.